Would you rather be in a 28 days later apocalypse or a Walking Dead apocalypse? If you've seen any video or been in any forum relating to zombies, you would find that most people say The Walking Dead. Ask a random person on the street this question. If they know anything about it, they probably said TWD. You watching this video might have said the same thing. Why is that? The Walking Dead zombies are slow and frail. You can easily run away or knock its head off with a baseball bat. Whereas the zombies in 28 days later are fast and strong and extremely pissed off. They are terrifying in the short term of things. When you factor in virus transmission, transformation time, and overall long term survival, you would not survive The Walking Dead. Before I explain why, we need to explore both the viruses, what took place, and why they are so deadly. Let's dive right into it. In Cambridge, England, a group of scientists in a research laboratory tried to develop a new inhibitor chip to control rage and aggression. For this inhibitor, they mixed the Ebola virus with other experimental inhibitors. Testing first began on animals like the chimpanzee. However, the chimpanzees did nothing but show uncontrollable rage. What made it worse was when PETA found out, broke into the laboratory, and released the apes from the quarantine where the rage virus was transferred over to humans. The infected humans would go out and cause chaos all across Great Britain. How does the virus work? When the host is first infected, they immediately go from normal to raging crackhead within 10 to 20 seconds. Symptoms would appear like severe hemorrhaging, muscle spasms, and change in eye color. After the host is transformed, it will violently attack anyone who is not infected and will do anything to spread the disease, even at the cost of self-preservation. The host will not eat, drink, or groom after infection has occurred. However, some can have different reactions to the virus. There are carriers who only show signs of infection through one singular bloodshot eye, but can spread the virus through bodily fluids like saliva. Others have mutated strains that keep the host's sense of preservation, meaning they eat and drink. 9 weeks after the outbreak, the remaining infected reportedly died from starvation and dehydration. The US military would clean up and settle in London 28 weeks after the outbreak. During the repopulation, a carrier was discovered and was put under quarantine. Unfortunately, the infection breached quarantine and began infecting the settlers. The military responds to this by bombing the settlement. This patriotic act did nothing because a helicopter transported another carrier to France where the virus infects mainland Europe. The good news is that the virus gets contained and eradicated before causing too much damage. The bad news is that Britain remains quarantined from the outside world, only being inhabited by remaining survivors and the infected who kept their self-preservation. In 2010, an airborne virus with unknown origins spread like wildfire all across the globe, earning it the name Wildfire virus. After the host is infected via airborne transmission, the virus lays dormant within the body but activates when the host dies. After activation, the host becomes violent and cannibalistic. A bite or scratch from one of these reanimated will cause a 100% fatal infection, which kills the victim within 1 to 48 hours. When activated, they run at jogging pace, but eventually slow to a walk after decay sets in. These zombies are mostly dumb and frail, but there are outliers. Different strains of the virus can give the hosts the ability to climb, run faster, and remember their past life. The only way to kill or prevent reanimation is destroying the brain. In August of 2010, the disease began reanimating anyone who has died, with the hosts carrying out acts of violence like biting or scratching that would later turn the victims into zombies. The zombies would overrun society and military, bringing an end to civilization within 4 months. To this day, the world is mostly populated by the undead, with whatever left of humanity scattered. So what makes the wildfire virus worse than the rage virus? Here are 3 reasons: transmission, longevity, and the time it takes to turn. Rage only transmits through bites and vomiting blood. Wildfire travels through the air and shows no symptoms until the person dies. Containing a fluid-transmitted virus is a lot easier than containing an airborne virus. There is a reason that the rabies virus has not ended the world. Adding on to the fact that the victims of the rage turns immediately after exposure. You would think that this is more dangerous, but it makes it more visible that the person is infected. The victims of the wildfire do not know that they are infected with it because there are no symptoms. When a person is bit by a reanimated zombie, it takes that person hours to die and come back. The bite victim can do a lot within an hour. They can travel to a safe haven, die, come back, and cause havoc within. When you count longevity, the rage infected die within a few weeks after infection. Heck, most of the infected were already dead 28 days after the outbreak. The zombies in The Walking Dead are still around a decade after the outbreak. The military would have its hands full in both cases. With the rage virus, they have to stop people from getting infected, while the military would have to prevent people from dying with the wildfire virus. Natural causes like cancer, accidents, murders, and other causes of death. We cannot stop stuff like that in real life. Good luck with zombies. Let's do 2 hypothetical scenarios. The first one being the rage virus getting released in Manhattan, while the second one has the wildfire virus being released in the same area. The outbreak happens with numbers of infected growing fast with the time it takes to turn. The streets become chaotic and people try to leave the island in a panic. However, the US Army and National Guard swiftly steps in and blocks all bridges and tunnels coming into Manhattan. No one can get in, no one can get out. The infected overtake Manhattan, but weeks later die off from dehydration, starvation, and fatal wounds. The army marches into what is left of Manhattan and takes in any survivors left, with carriers and other infected strains being taken care of. Sure, Manhattan was destroyed. However, the country and the globe are fine, unlike the second scenario. The outbreak happens with nobody knowing about it. People enter and exit the island unknowingly carrying and spreading the virus with one simple breath. When the military gets word of the virus, they swiftly quarantine Manhattan, but it's already too late. The infection has already escaped Manhattan. Tourists from other states and even other countries bring the virus back to their homes where it spreads to others. The virus can no longer be contained. Soon, people who died from natural causes began rising and attacking the living outside of the quarantine zone. The government orders a national curfew and deploys as many soldiers to as many populated areas. The military has one goal: to stop people from dying until a cure for the virus is created. So after hearing all of that, would you still choose The Walking Dead over 28 Days Later? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you guys later.